I think they chose this word because of feasibility and practicality. There was no guarantee that the federal government, when it was established, could provide a level of a standard of living, or could promote legislation which would be for everyone's benefit. They didn't know whether they could afford it or not. They didn't know whether it was practical or not. So whatever the United States and the federal government can afford to do, we're going to promote it the best we can. We're not going to make any promises. There's no absolutes here. We're going to do the best we can. Well, are we doing that today? We're blowing that away. That idea of practicality is way out the window, the way we're building our national debt. And it's a disgrace, frankly, the way we're passing on this debt to our children. It's immoral. But we have to look at another part of this phrase, promote the general welfare. Now, I resorted to the thesaurus, and according to the thesaurus, it means universal, common, broad. And I said, well, that didn't really tell me a whole lot. I said, what's the opposite of general? And it listed one word, specific. So, tell me what we're doing today. Are we promoting the general welfare? Or are we promoting the specific welfare? And frankly, are we providing, not just promoting, we're providing the specific welfare of various groups of people? I'm opposed to that. I think the Constitution backs me up in that statement. And I'm not even running for it. So, I'll say this. Next slide. Neither in purpose nor in power does the Constitution allow federal legislation which promotes or provides benefit to specific groups or individuals. I think the Constitution speaks this clearly. There was a farm bill passed in May, and there was $300 billion. $45 billion of it was for food aid to foreign nations. $55 billion was for farm subsidies, and $200 billion was for nutrition programs. Would anybody like to take a guess at what this is according to GovTrack.us? What are nutrition programs?
Jenny Craig.
I'm sorry?
Jenny Craig.
Jenny Craig. That's a good guess. You're wrong. Come on. Use your imagination here.
School menus?
No, that's what I thought. That's what it sounded like.
Graphics like
FDA.
But remember, we're spending $200 billion here. Got to be a pretty big piece of pie out there.
Wellness programs?
It's called welfare. It's called food stamps. Okay, but conveniently they called it nutrition programs. Now, any of y'all live in a foreign country? And raise your hand. You live in a foreign country and get food aid? Or are you farmers? Maybe there are some farmers here. Farmers? Nobody raising their hand? Anybody on food stamps? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Okay. So, did this bill promote the general welfare? No, it promoted the specific welfare of certain groups of people. My view, that's unconstitutional. Next slide, please. And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. This is the culminating purpose of all the purposes. When we assure domestic tranquility, when we provide for the common defense, when we promote the general welfare, when we establish justice, and we provide for the common defense. We're doing that all to do this. All in the cause of liberty. It's not a separate item, I don't believe. I think it's the culmination of everything else that we're doing. That's why our forefathers came over here. It was for liberty. Next slide, please. You know, I don't think there's any other concept of liberty but this. And that, for one, it is individual. There is no such thing as a group liberty. There's no concept like that. Well, let's look at what Thomas Jefferson said. He was a pretty wise person. This is what he said. Of liberty, I would say that in the whole plenitude of its extent, it is unobstructed action according to our will. But he qualifies that a little bit, and he says, but there is a rightful liberty, which is unobstructed action according to our own will, within the limits drawn around us by the equal rights of others. And then he adds, I do not add within the limits of the law, he said, because law is often the tyrant's will, and always so when it violates the rights of an individual. So it's limited not by the government's laws, but by the equal rights of others. Of course, I think this is, naturally we could start talking about the Bill of Rights right here, but time doesn't permit that. You know, today, and I got interested in the concepts of liberty, frankly, in the area of economic liberty. I'll comment a little bit more about that in a second. Today, most of us work till after May the 15th for some form of government, primarily the federal government. You know, the slaves that we had, they were owned 100% by their masters. Every penny of the fruits of their labor belonged to the owner. So therefore they were slaves. Now when we work 35% of our time, and 35% of the fruit of our labor is for a government, we're 35% slaves. We have no control over that money. They have it. They've taken control of it. It's theirs. They own 35% of us. And we can make sure and be sure that as the government takes over more and more of our economic liberty, they will take over more and more of our civil liberties. And we're seeing some of that really very much today. It's eking in there. It's just dissolving away this liberty for which our forefathers not only wrote the Constitution, but many, of course, have died for this concept. That's it. But I will say this. No, I've got a few more. That's it. I've got a few more things to say. Liberty is not the most important thing. It's the only thing. It's the only thing. To restore our republic, we must return to the concept of individual liberty. I encourage all of you young Republicans to help with the effort to embed liberty into all of its platform. It's not there. It's not there right now. But I certainly encourage you to do that. Hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Go out and spread the word of liberty. Read your Constitution. It's not that hard. It's not a thousand, it's not 1,000 pages long. It's only 7,000 words long, and it's the most important document and the most important guiding light for our actions that we have. Thank you very much.